Greetings, Star Citizens, and welcome to another beautiful day in the verse. Now, for today's video, I thought I'd do a little bit of speculation, because lately I've done a couple of racing videos, which has sort of been a little bit of a hidden talent for me, because I've not really shown any of my racing up until those videos, and those videos sort of brought light to a bit of speculation on my comments, and a lot of that speculation comes from Reddit and the forums, and there's a lot of people that, in my opinion, are speculating it wrong. So the common speculation that's going around that in Alpha 2.6 racing is going to be slow, racing is going to be boring, and racing is going to be easy. And I think all three of those are going to be wrong, and here are my reasons why. So in 2.6, yes, the SCM speeds are going to be slower. However, the afterburner and the cruise are going to be sort of intertwined into one. So if you afterburner for too long, you're going to be thrown into cruise speed, and then anyone that knows how racing works currently as of 2.5, you afterburner 100% of the race, or 99% of the race. I mean, the second checkpoint, you space brake to get around that sharp turn, or more so to take that shortcut, but after that, you afterburn throughout the whole race, and there is no braking whatsoever. Some people will brake on the last corner, because they can't handle that without braking, but the top racers do not brake and do not let off the afterburner at all. And in 2.6, they're not going to be able to get away with that, because if they keep afterburning, they're either going to run out of fuel or they're going to be hitting cruise speeds. And I can tell you, it is hard enough to get around the last corner on Old Vanderbilt in afterburner without cruise speed. So trying to do it with cruise speed is not going to happen. You're going to be sent into the billboard, you're going to be sent way off course, you're going to drift all over the place, and you're not going to get around that corner. So the sort of skill into racing as of 2.5 is not very much skill based at all. It is all down to angles, and it is all down to timing. Eventually you can master the angles, you can figure out what angle is best to take this checkpoint and what angle is best to come down from, and you can figure all of that out pretty easy with a bit of repetition. It doesn't take long to figure out the angles, and it doesn't take long to figure out the timing of when you should and shouldn't space brake and when you should turn. However, in 2.6, and obviously this is speculation, we still don't have 2.6, it is right around the corner, but in 2.6 you're also going to have to think about space brake. Not space brake, sorry, you're going to have to think about afterburner time. You're going to have to think about when should you afterburn and how long should you afterburn for. And it's going to be a lot more skill based, because it's going to be sort of how hard can you push yourself. Can you push yourself into cruise speed, and can you recover from that cruise speed, or are you going to go flying off the track? Now, when I say it isn't going to be easier, I say that sort of with two-way meaning. So I think in 2.6, I think it's going to be easier for people to get around the track, and it is going to be easier for people to get a hang of racing and get a hang of the checkpoints and find out where they are and actually finish a lap. But I do not think it's going to be easier to be a good racer. I do not think it's going to be easier to be on the top 25 or anywhere near the top 25, because the people that are going to be putting in all the work have got so much to think about compared to what they've got to think about now. I mean, they've all still in 2.6, we will have to think about the angles, we will have to think about the speed, we'll have to think about the space brake, but in addition to that, we're also going to have to think about afterburner and boost, and when we do it and how we do it and how much we do it for. And I think that is going to make it extremely difficult, and I think we're going to get very, very, very time, because at the moment in the top 25, or at least the top 10, everyone has practically the same time, because there isn't really much more you can do to improve your lap time. There isn't any sort of way of pushing yourself beyond what would be considered as naturally humanity to do. And in 2.6 there will be sort of that. There will be the possibility to push yourself a little harder than someone who maybe isn't as confident as controlling the ship. If you're confident in controlling your ship, you may be able to push yourself close to cruise speeds, or maybe even into cruise speeds on some tracks, and be able to get out of it without flying off the track or flying into the checkpoint or flying through someone's apartment building. And yeah, like I said, there's a lot of common speculation that the racing is going to be easier and that racing is going to be slow and boring. I definitely don't think it's going to be slow and boring. I think it's going to be the complete opposite. I think it's going to be a lot more enjoyable to watch and a lot more enjoyable to practice than it is currently, because currently if you watch the top races, they follow the exact same line and it almost looks like the exact same video. Whereas obviously in 2.6 you're probably not going to get that so much. You get racers coming up with their own sort of racing, like you get in real life. You get racers that take certain corners in their own certain way. They have their little way of figuring it out, and they keep that a secret to themselves, because that's sort of their secret little tip to get around the corner. They're not going to share that with anyone. So you may get some very varied lap times, even in the top 10 or the top 20 or the top 25 or whatever it may be. You're going to get a lot more variety. You're definitely going to get speed, because in 2.5 we cannot see cruise speeds in racing. We cannot go into cruise mode. However, in 2.6 Afterburner and cruise are going to become the same thing, so you may well see cruise speeds in certain races. Now, I don't think any of the races that we've got currently will allow enough space to build up into cruise speed. However, I think some tracks you probably could, however you would die. You just would not be able to get out of it. So on Record Memorial, on sort of the first corner or the second corner technically, you could probably get up to cruise speed down that straight away. However, you're probably never going to make it out alive. You're just going to smash into the billboard or the building, and you just, yeah, it wouldn't be logical to do. So that's where I think the skill base comes into it. You're going to have to think, you know, how much. So on that particular straightaway, you're going to think, how much do you cruise for? How much do you afterburn for? How far do you push yourself? And what is the point where you should slow down? Because you're going to have to take that corner after you picked up that speed. And yeah, like I said, so as for it being easier to get around the track, yes, the SCM speeds are cut down, and yes, the drift is cut down, the acceleration has been boosted, so naturally it's going to be easier to control a ship without drift if you're just flying SCM with no afterburner, no boost, or none of that fancy stuff. You're just flying around the track. Yes, you're going to get around it a lot easier. Is your lap time going to be impressive? Hell no. If you think in today's racing, so the afterburner is buffed compared to what it is today. It is faster than what it is in 2.5, and the SCM is slower. So if you think, if you've got a racer that can handle that SCM, if you've got a racer that can handle that afterburner, then they're going to be going around essentially twice as fast as they are now, you know, if they can actually handle it. Now, I don't think they will be able to handle it, but the potential is there. So trying to compete with the top racers is going to be extremely difficult. It's going to take a lot more practice than what it currently does, and it's going to be quite painful for some people, because racing even today is quite painful. It takes a lot of practice. I get a lot of people asking me, how do I race? How did I get good? What did I do to get good? And all these sort of things. And it is really a hard question to answer, because it genuinely is just a case of practice. It is just a case of trial and error. I mean, like I said in previous videos, I've sort of hinted at the way I mainly got good is I flew around the track at 50% throttle, and this is with my M50. I flew around 50% throttle and boost. Boost helps you out because it reduces the drift. So don't be scared to boost, just be scared of Afterburner, because Afterburner will speed you up, Boost will just improve your speed. Now obviously this is all subject to change in 2.6, so if you're watching this video and 2.6 is already out, ignore everything I say now and just, yeah, I have no idea how it would be good to practice in 2.6, but I will definitely be doing a video on racing in 2.6 when we get it, and I'll try my best to help you guys out once I get the hang of it, because even the best racers are going to have to adjust to 2.6. It's going to be a drastic change, and it's going to be almost like learning all over again. So in 2.5 the way I practiced is, like I said, I would set my throttle to 50% and I would fly around the track at 50% throttle until I felt comfortable with the track, until I felt like, okay, I know how to get around this track at 50% throttle. And yes, that was a struggle for me. I struggled at 50% throttle. I still crashed into things and I still missed checkpoints even at 50% throttle. So if you think you can't do it, just keep pushing yourself, keep trying, and if you have to, go lower than 50%, go to 40%. And then once you get comfortable at 40%, go up to 50% until you get comfortable at 50%, and then go up to 60% and 70% and 80% and 90%, and then eventually get up to 100% with boost, and then you can try to afterburn. Now, like I said, that is just for 2.6. That is just for 2.5. 2.6 is right around the corner, so I've offered that help a little bit too late. But like I said in previous videos, I don't want to do a full-blown tutorial on 2.5 racing because it's just not going to be relevant in less than a week's time. Or actually a week's time. It's not going to be relevant, so I don't see the point in doing it. But that has been all for this video. It's not really been much of a video, it's more just speculation, it's more just me ranting and just sort of clearing up a few things, because I think a lot of people are getting it wrong because they don't understand the way racing works at the moment. And I don't mean that in a snobby way or a bad way. I'm not sort of saying, oh, you don't understand racing, but they don't understand the way, you know, how much racing currently relies on afterburner. We solely rely on afterburner, 100% afterburner, and that's something the top racers are not going to be able to do anymore. We're not going to be able to just hold down the afterburner and not have to worry about it. It's going to be extra things to worry about, it's going to be extra timings to try and figure out, and when you add extra sort of variables into figuring something out, it naturally gets a lot harder. So yeah, I think a lot of people that don't sort of understand truly how top racers race are speculating that it's going to be easier and it's going to be, you know, boring. It most definitely is not going to be boring. I think it's going to become much more skill based than what it is today. I think it's going to be a lot more time put into it to try and be good at it. It's going to be a lot more difficult to learn, and it's going to be a lot more difficult to be good. But that